The African Union has called on public and private actors in Africa to exert concerted effort to combat drug trafficking and supply in the continent. The acting director for Social Development, Culture and Sport at the AU Commission, Angela Martins, made the appeal while addressing a continental technical expert consultation on drug demand reduction. She underscored the significance of dialogue, knowledge sharing, and cooperation among experts, policymakers, civil society, and stakeholders, recognizing that no single country can effectively tackle the drug menace alone. And joining me to talk about this is Ambassador Sonny Irakpo, founder and president of SELEC Initiative. Good evening, glad to have you join me.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, now straight away, how has combating drug trafficking in Africa, particularly in the context of the AU's call for concerted efforts, been?
Well, combating drugs in Africa over this time, it has been like a military state whereby countries in Africa, particularly the leadership, are absent-minded, and we have also experienced a lot of poor leadership who could not actually pay or provide basic needs and necessity for the people. So when you talk about combating those drugs in Africa, it is very weak. It is the absent-mindedness is pronounced, and we cannot continue to live as a people in this form, because what is the essence of human existence if the basic needs and necessities cannot be met, particularly for young people who are the future of Africa? And I must tell you that with the growing strength of drugs, it is worrisome. You know, in Nigeria, for example, you see what is going on there. And Nigeria happens to be the giant of Africa. If Nigeria is affected, it should be what will be the case of other countries. So when you look at the way drug is being tackled in Africa, it is too poor. And some of us, we are worried about the strength of drugs in Africa.
Ambassador Sonny, as an anti-drug advocate, what specific initiative or strategies can be employed to address these challenges?
Well, in tackling this drug, it requires basically two approaches which you must follow. One, the drug supply reduction strategy and the drug demand reduction strategy. The drug supply reduction strategy has to do with, reducing production, destroying drugs being produced in the country, in the continent, also arresting and prosecuting those who have been inflicting this harm on the people. And also we look at the drug demand reduction strategy, which has to do with education prevention approach in sensitization and passing across the relevant information in helping people to take decisive steps about their life. Information is not out there, and it is through the drug demand reduction strategy that every citizen, particularly in our region, Nigeria, can know and know the dangers of drug abuse, because many don't know the dangers of drug abuse. We must take that step, which is most critical, to educate, and those who are already in need. Are there rehabilitation centers? Are there treatment for these individuals? There are no treatment anywhere. So we need to look at the drug demand reduction strategy, which is very okay. For every $1 you spend in sensitization is saving individuals over the country $10. That means that, when we wait for our youth to be addicted to drugs, it's because the government more money in tackling those problems. And I must tell you very frankly that treatment it is not curable. It can only be treated, but it's not curable. So why must we be spending money on something that is not even, it will not provide the needed result? So we need to take a decisive step. We need to take a proactive step in educating people on the dangers of drug abuse, so that they will know that drug is a health-based approach that we should look at it from. Let every individual know that if I take something, it's going to harm my health, it's going to cost me a lot. So we need to take these steps so that we can address this fundamental issue of drug abuse across the continent.
Talking about taking decisive steps and taking the right steps and tackling the menace of drug trafficking, how has your experience influenced your approach, for instance, to tackling drug trafficking, aligning with African Union's efforts?
Yes, I read what the Angela said. She was very, very pointed, saying that we need to take a drug demand reduction approach. Okay? Yes, drug supply is good, but the drug demand reduction approach is something that is going to save us. It's going to enable us to utilize the resources in our continent to better the lives of people, to provide the basic needs and necessities, to provide jobs for the youth, to also provide the infrastructures that we need to develop as a continent. So what her position is very pointed. We must look at the drug demand reduction strategy, which has to do with sensitization, education of citizens, by knowing the dangers of drug abuse to themselves, to their health, and how it also affects the family at the community level, even at the society level. We are talking about insecurity today, and I just listen to your news where drugs were also seen. Young guys are going into crime, and they are not doing this in their clear eyes. They are taking substances to carry out this desperate act. So we must take a decisive step by taking a drug demand reduction approach. Yes, the supply reduction approach is good, but at the point of when the individual knows the damages of drugs to their health, they will be able to say no, even when the drug bearers are bringing the drugs into the community or the society, the citizens will know that no matter what, I'm going to take a decisive step not to engage in any form of drug. So I align myself with the approach of the AU, Angela, which she pointedly said that we need to take that approach. It is going to help us to save costs. It's going to help us to also direct our resources, because young people are the features of the continent.
Just very quickly, Ambassador Irakpo. Just very quickly, Ambassador Irakpo. Now, you made reference to sensitization. You made reference to family. Beyond these approaches you have mentioned, what other recommendations or collaborative measures do you propose to effectively address the menace of drug trafficking in Africa as a whole?
I want to propose the asset-based model. The asset-based model is an approach that will help the individuals to see themselves as an instrument of nation building and not an instrument of catastrophe or destruction. And that is what is going on across the continent. You see a lot of young people, they are revolting, okay? So if we look at tackling the issue of drug abuse from the asset-based model, the psychosocial model, and the drug replacement model, this model will help us to tackle the issue of drug abuse holistically and get the needed result. Let me tell you very frankly that the rate at which drug abuse is going is alarming. It is worrisome. And if our leaders close their eyes for them not to tackle this issue head on, it's going to cause a lot of damages to the countries across Africa. And I'm calling our leaders to prioritize the youth in their agenda. They should ensure that they provide the basic needs and necessities for young people. There are no jobs for young people. We need young people to be fully engaged so that our economy can grow rapidly and be matched with other developed nations across the world. Because if we must tackle corruption, I know they are fighting corruption, yeah, which is good, but I must tell you very frankly that the greatest corruption of our time is stealing the destinies of young people by depriving them their basic needs and necessities. So our leaders must wake up and provide those needs for our people so that our young people, most especially, can live a fulfilled life as we desire to grow the continent of Africa. Because we have everything that it takes for we to live well as a people. Our leaders must understand that the future of our countries lies in the hands of young people. And until we tap into their strength and energy, we won't be able to achieve the desired result. So I'm using this platform to call all African leaders. Let them prioritize this issue of drug abuse. Let them declare a state of emergency to combat this issue.
And that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your expertise. And more sincerely, thank you for your time on the news. Ambassador Sonny Irakpo, founder and president, Select Initiatives. Thank you so much.